So as an adult, I realized that it's probably when I was like probably 10 to 13 years old, and I didn't think that I had that kind of issue until I was an adult because my parents got divorced when I was 9, and that in of itself wasn't like a huge thing, but just the divorce and my dad's second wife was really, really awful, and this really badly impacted my mental health in a way that like I didn't really understand that until I was an adult going to therapy and talking about it. But I was suicidal from like when I was 13 years old, and it's kind of gone down now that I'm older because I kind of understand how to deal with it. But that's probably the earliest that I've experienced it. Like I wanted to kill myself when I was like 13, and I did. I tried to, but then I didn't follow through, I guess. But that's probably the earliest time that I would have I could recognize now.
And what has your
From that point to now, it's been pretty bad, to be completely honest. Like I dated someone from when I was around 16, 17 to when I was 23, 24, and the relationship got really abusive towards the end because my partner was really mentally ill. I don't want to like speak too much because it's not my story. Like I don't want to pin blame, because anyone that knows me like knows who I'm talking about, but they didn't get any therapy, they didn't seek any help, and they put all of their emotional labor on me to be like the fixer, and emotionally manipulated me, and then sometimes physically abused me with this person. So it's really fucked me up as an adult to like have to deal with the consequence, I guess. Right now I'm pretty good. Like I chose the program that I chose because I was like thinking, I've been to university before and I only went because I felt pressured by my parents to get a degree, and I was thinking like earlier this year and last year, I'm like, well, what I want to do as a career that actually like fulfills me, like can I actually do that's going to make a difference in my life and other people's, because you have to kind of love what you do, otherwise you're going to get burnt out. So I thought helping people, and like I have addiction issues, like I've been an alcoholic, I've done a lot of like I guess uppers before and had problems with that. So I was thinking like what would I like to do, and if I can work in social services to help people that are similar to me that don't have, like my family's really great and they support me, and they always have, like people don't have that all the time. So I was like, what can I do? I want to do that. So that's why I'm like where I am now. So like I'm doing pretty good. I still just struggle with depression, and like sometimes I binge drink and shit. It's just like you can't, I don't know, it's gonna take more than 4 years for me to heal from something as like traumatic as what I experienced, basically.
And
I really wanted to have a boyfriend, I wanted to be cool and fit in, and I feel like most people feel like that, but I feel like it was almost elevated for me to a point where like the guy I dated that was shitty was like in a band, and he was like really cool and all that stuff to me at the time anyways. And I think if I put less stock in that and more about how he actually was behaving towards me, it would have been a little easier to get out of it. I don't know if that makes sense.
how do you
To be honest, like I've been doing really, really well in school for the most part, and I put so much energy in that I haven't put a lot of energy in other things. So I feel like I just need to make more of like self-care a thing, more of a balance. Like I have made habits, like I'm like it was pretty bad for a while, but now I've been able to do like the basic human needs thing, need to like make sure I like maintain like the cleanliness of like my apartment, and just like make sure like I always reach out to my friends all the time, so that's a good thing. But it's hard to kind of balance everything at the same time, especially when you're doing really well in one thing. You just continue to like push yourself, I guess, if that makes sense, versus you like pushing yourself in everything so that it's all balanced out. But for the most part, I'm doing pretty good.
and what
Honestly, I would just say like if you can't handle it, like talk to someone, or academic advisor. Like you can go to counseling services. I have started the process, but I haven't followed through yet. But like it's available to you if you're a student. Like do it. It's going to be useful to you. And just letting your professors know, it's like super intimidating, but just letting them know that you're having a problem, like they are empathetic. They're not going to be like fuck you. Like they care about you. Like they do. It just sometimes feels like they don't, because they have like so many other things to worry about. And other than that, I would just say like self-care, like just going out once a week. If you can't afford that, just doing something for yourself once a week, taking 2 or 3 hours out of the day to do like, I don't know, play video games or just like go for a walk. I don't know, just anything. Hang out with your friends if you can.
And what do you?
The biggest thing I would say is like, because I care about people a lot, like I do, and I think most people that kind of end up in these situations do, and they do too much to get not a lot back. So I would just say like you're not responsible for somebody else's like life. And it's really like easy to fall into like thinking that you are. Like obviously if you care about somebody, you love somebody, you want to do what you can for them, but honestly like if somebody's like, I'm gonna kill myself, if somebody's like gonna say something like that, regardless of whether or not it's manipulated, like it's not your fault if something happens. Like if you did your best, like don't feel like you have to take that burden. That's probably the biggest mistake that I made, because I dated someone that was always like that. Responsibility to be that person for them, but you can't. The only person that really matters at the end, you're not mentally healthy yourself, you can't. So like you have to like care about yourself more than everybody else, and that's really hard to do, especially if you care. But like being healthy in your own mind enables you to be able to be like that person for other people,
And
because
what?
you're able to withstand more like things that come at you. You're able to take them and you're able to process them, and like I don't know, have better advice if that makes sense. I would like to go, especially like my goal for graduating, it would be to go up north to a territory, maybe like the Yukon or Nunavut, like Indigenous communities. I don't know if that's possible with my degree. I might have to go to university for it, but that's sort of what I wanted to do initially, just for like a little bit, because I feel like that's going to be like the hardest thing I would have to deal with for my career path, so that I would do it right away, and then I can probably deal with anything. But for my mental health, I have like so I basically just want to get rid of that, and I think that if I do, then my mental health is gonna be completely fine, because otherwise like I'm good. Like I'm pretty much over everything else that I've had to like deal with, I guess. Things that like PTSD and all these things that I've been diagnosed with that are just like labels that make you feel like shit. Like I'm over it. It's just that one thing that's like a hurdle that I have to cross, basically.
And what was?
PTSD was like the biggest thing. Like I feel like I've been depressed for a really long time, and it's kind of just an up and down, where some days are worse than others. PTSD though was really difficult, because like you don't think that like an average person would deal with that. Like you really think of like someone in the army or something like that going through really traumatic shit, like seeing somebody die, but all the symptoms make sense. And like going through a lot of the classes that I have, because a lot of the focus is on somebody that has trauma, or someone that's from a criminal background. Usually there's trauma involved in their past, so learning about all that actually triggered the fuck out of me, like learning about what they might have gone through, and I was like, I've gone through the same thing. It's a lot, but like I don't know, you just have to find your own way to accept it, because that's who you are, I guess.
Yeah. So my story is a very long, nuanced one. I've been struggling with my mental health for over a decade. It started probably when I was like 13, and it started off with like body image issues, and I was a little bit on the chubby side, so I ended up like developing a really bad eating disorder for a few years when I was in my early teens. And that was coupled with anxiety and depression, which like I didn't know at the time, and so ended up having a pretty rough time through high school because of it. I won't get too into details, but it was a hard time for me. And when I went to my first year of university, I had taken a year off, so at the time I was about 18 going on 19, and I actually started getting panic attacks. So the first time that it happened, I literally thought that I was having a low blood sugar attack. I've never had one before, and like it was crazy. Like it was like my whole body started tingling, and like I started shaking, I started crying uncontrollably, and that's when I realized that I had seen that with my friend a few years ago, and it was a panic attack, and they kept coming. Like I kept getting them like every week in university, and like I didn't know how to deal with it, so I started smoking a bunch of weed, and like I ended up smoking cigarettes even to try to like just find anything to just kind of take the edge off. I went to go see my doctor, and the thing that like people don't tell you is that like with medications and things, like people don't tell you that like it's an experiment. So like the medicine wasn't working, and like I was getting really down on myself, and like, you know, it was basically like it took years and years and years for me to finally find a combination, a magic combination that made it even like tolerable for me to like get through school. And I didn't get through school scotch-free. Like I ended up in university like failing. I either got like really good grades or I failed altogether. There was like almost no middle ground. And yeah, it was a really hard time. The other thing that happened while I was in university is I lost one of my best friends. She also struggled with mental health, and I lost her because of it. I have since almost lost a few other people. The reason that I wanted to have this conversation is because there's like no help for people when they reach out, and you know, we can talk about these issues, but like unless we have like a meaningful, substantive conversation about it, like nothing's gonna change, you know? Like there were points like where I literally had like proof showing a doctor like, listen, this person in my life literally wrote me a suicide note. I have evidence. This person needs help. And like, if that person refuses help or something, then like, you know, you're stuck. And like, I was on suicide watch for like months with these people. Like there needs to be a better way. And, you know, it's not just to that extreme too. Even for myself, I have gone on multiple wait lists. There was one wait list recently I was on to see a psychologist. And that was through a local mental health network. And I waited for 6 months. They told me the wait list was about 2 years, so I waited 6 months. And they called me recently and they told me that they basically are overwhelmed with their services and they can't help me. So they basically left me waiting for 6 months and then pulled me off the wait list. I recently read, like 2 days ago, that the suicide rate for youth under 24 has tripled. That is so scary. It's like particularly with really young kids, like starting as early as 14. And even with myself, like I said, I started as early as 13. Like, it's not just in our heads. Like, this is an epidemic. This is a problem. We need to deal with this. So that's why I felt it necessary to come and share my story.
And what?
I guess that I wish I knew how to ask for help when I needed it. There are people in my life who really love me and care about me, and you know, they just want to help you at the end of the day. So like, if you need help and you're struggling, like, you need to reach out to the people around you and like create a network of support. It doesn't have to be just one person. Like, you know, find multiple people that you can rely on in small little ways. And like, I find too that the more that you reach out to people, the more that people reach out to you. And then I've built so many great connections doing this. And like, now I'm at a point in my life where I'm going on 25, I'm on the right medications, and I will say vitamins for me worked the best, so natural supplements. And I'm starting to go in a trajectory that I really like with my life. So I just think that a big part of that was developing a network of support.
Thank you.